80 years ago today, 150,000 British, Canadian, American, and a handful of other nations' troops crossed that channel to assault this beach and get at the Nazi fortifications just over my shoulder over there, to initiate the greatest battle that mankind has ever known. One of the ballsiest, craziest operations in the whole of military history. Paratroopers, landing craft, destroyers and submarines out in the channel. And it was a one-time play. There was no plan B. It had to work. 4 years or so in the planning after the evacuation of Dunkirk, the Allies knew they had to get back into France, and they knew they're going to have to find the correct place to land. There was deception plans all over the place. We pretended we was going to attack in Norway. We pretended we was going to attack in Calais. And the strategic plan to attack here in Normandy, this monstrous stretch of sand, begging to be invaded, and the Germans still thought this perfect landing ground was going to be a bluff. Just before midnight on the 5th of June, the Allies came from the sky and secured the eastern beachhead just inside of Pegasus Bridge, and just on the west with the 101st Airborne just outside of Carrollton. And then just as dawn broke in the morning, the seaborne armada hit these beaches with a vengeance. Over 100,000 men, and they went into the meat grinder. German defences fortified, bunkers, super bunkers, miles of mines, barbed wire and choke points, all designed to make sure nobody got off those landing craft and assaulted those beaches. But bravery won the day. Force of action won the day. And the bravest generation did what they had to do to storm these beaches, steam inland, and initiate the defeat of the German army. We are driving down to Portsmouth. We're staying in the van tonight. Tomorrow we're getting a ferry. Tomorrow afternoon we're going to land ourselves in Caen, Normandy in France for the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. An unbelievable event. This is something I've wanted to do for my whole life, I think. Did a video 7 years ago where I mentioned I was trying to get to France, didn't manage to make it. This being the 80th anniversary, I feel like it's going to be the last time there's a real big parade. I don't think there's any of the airborne troops still alive, and I think there's very few of the lads that landed on the beaches that are still with us as well. So this will be a special one. It's going to be the last big sort of anniversary. Maybe the 100th anniversary is a big one as well, but obviously there'll be nobody still alive from the landings on that day. I'm looking forward to seeing the different parades. I'm looking forward to meeting some of my own comrades here, but most importantly, I'm looking forward to paying tribute to one of the ballsiest, craziest, downright Hollywood operations that has ever been dreamt of, thought of, let alone executed in all of military history. This might be the most famous operation in military history. Like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I want to visit the cemeteries, I want to visit the museums, I want to immerse myself in this for a few days and really pay tribute to, you know, men and women that came before me, I guess. Right, we are in Portsmouth. We have found something that I don't reckon there's many of around the country, which is free camper van and caravan parking. And there's like a cinema and some pubs and stuff over there, so we're gonna go get something to eat and then get an early night because we have got a double early start tomorrow morning.
Bless some more, the long and the short and the tall. Bless all the sergeants and WO1s. Bless all the corporals and their thinking sons, 'cause we're saying goodbye to them all, as back to their billets they crawl.
You get no promotion this side of the ocean, so
So cheer up, my lads, bless them all.
Bless them all, the long and the short and the tall. Bless all the sergeants and W01. Bless all the corporals and their rickets and trust
Fair play to him.
Yes, it's unbelievable.
Great story. So Gary Mills.
No, it was after that.
Yeah, a few
we done
years
6
after,
months
but-
in national dress as like a scruff. If I remember this day, he had like a long sleeve.
Pegasus Bridge was the main area of operation for the British Army's 6th Airborne Division in Normandy on D-Day. Landing in gliders and later via parachute, the Oxen Bucks, led by Major John Howard, landed just before midnight on the 5th, crashing right next to Pegasus Bridge with the aim of capturing this bridge and the nearby Howson Bridge intact, allowing the Allies to defend their eastern flank and allowing Café Gondry to be the first building liberated in France on D-Day.
We will remember them.
We will remember them.
I was watching the earlier, I think I'll keep my eye on it.
Faithfulness is the shield and the buckler. You will not fear the terror that after the conflict, it is always the promise. And you, mother? You're right. How are you, mate?
Where are you staying?
In Man City, mate. That's where he stays. In Man City.
A mile away.
Oh, brilliant. So you're down here.
How the fuck are you to go out?
I don't know, mate.
Just hold it for 8 hours while the tanks come.
Yeah, what are you doing there?
I got a question.
Yeah.
Really?
If I'm thinking.
Right then, we are back on our way over to Pegasus Bridge for the evening's memorial service. The evening memorial service is at 11:30 at night. The reason it's 11:30 at night is because that is when the gliders actually landed. Freed that first house, which is Café Gondry, right next to the bridge. First house to be liberated on D-Day. That's why you see so much of the celebrations sort of centred around that house and on the other side of the bridge. And I brought with me a bottle of port. I can't actually explain to you what the reason is. I mean, I could Google it, but every single thing that you do in the army involving a toast in memorial involves port. So I've got some comrades that I served with, and I'll be raising, well, the whole bottle to the brave men that didn't make it back and actually gave their lives doing what we're about to go and commemorate. So cheers, boys.
Bring out the mallet.
So I'm here as a representative of the Army Air Corps to introduce to you Madame Arlette Gondry, the owner of Café Gondry, one of the first buildings to be liberated on the 6th of June 1944.
We just attended the remembrance service at Ranville. Ranville Cemetery is a Commonwealth War grave cemetery with hundreds of fallen soldiers in, every single gravestone telling a story. I find myself always looking at the ages. You don't see a lot late 30s, you see occasional one, but the number that you see that are 18, 19, 20 years of age, the same age I was when I joined up, never leaving this place, really makes it hit home. Everybody I've spoken to today, and I've spoken to people I served with, people of my generation, people of the previous generations from other units. I've actually had some great conversations with people cutting around today. Everyone's been really open to having conversations as well. This seems to be like the last big one that you're going to see any veterans of this war joining. But I think there's a real need for these things to be remembered. This is our heritage. As regiments, as British soldiers, and as citizens of Europe, this happened. You forget these sacrifices and you forget what people went through to free Europe from tyranny. And if you forget those things, I think you're liable to see it coming back. That's why these things are important. That's why these things are commemorated the way they are. That's why people put so much into making sure we remember what happened. They were young men like me, like you guys watching at home, like your brothers, like your sons, like your nephews, that answered the call and paid the ultimate price. I never got the opportunity to do this while I was still serving. My regiment used to come to all of the anniversaries, but they'd select a handful of blokes. And I never got the opportunity to do it while I was in. But it's been something I've wanted to do for a long time. To visit this site, to visit where those historical moments happened, to touch the sand and to walk across the bridge and to just be in the area that history happened. And at the same time, pay homage and respect to my regimental forebearers who came before me, who are why the British Army has got the reputation that it's got, why the regiments I served in have got the reputation that they've got. It's because of the actions of these brave men that came before us. I don't know how long monumental battles like this stay in the public consciousness. How long was the Battle of Agincourt commemorated by the people of Britain? How long will the Somme be remembered? How long are people going to talk about the longest day of D-Day? How long are people going to make the pilgrimage to these sites to remember? And how quickly will they fade away from public consciousness and just be another thing that people walk past on the way to work? I don't think that could be allowed to happen. I know while I'm alive it ain't going to happen. I'm one bloke. I hope in doing a video like this, some of my audience, the younger ones, the people who maybe aren't from the UK, and even the ones who are from the UK that just weren't aware, have learned a little bit of something. There's wars going on across the globe at the moment. I served myself in the global war on terror. The numbers of lost and casualties during when I served were horrific. And then not one day of World War II. Day one of D-Day was 10,000 Allied casualties on these beaches. We lost 457 in a few years. The scale is hard to contemplate. Those men gave their lives so we could live in relative peace and relative freedom, and it deserves remembering.